My name is Ware, and I'm the Interim Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, and I'll be your moderator for tonight's forum. And the rules of the forum are that we will have, the candidates will have 2 minutes to make an open statement. Then we'll be directing questions, the same questions to each member, each candidate. They'll have 2 minutes to answer. And then we'll follow that up with a closing statement of 1 minute each. And after the sheriff's candidates are completed, then we'll move to the candidates for the county commission seats. And all of those will be on the stage at the same time. Just a few words. We'd like to thank Dr. Lynn Albert, the staff at Coastal Pines Technical College, for allowing us to use their facilities for these forums. With us tonight is Betty Gillis, Ware County Supervisor of Elections. You want to stand up, Betty? No? Okay. She has made available for you, if you'd like to pick them up, sample ballots. And they are in, when you walk out of the auditorium, they're on the table right in the center of the two doors. There are the sample ballots for the Democratic primary election, the Republican primary election, and for the partisan election. Of course, if the nonpartisan election. The nonpartisan election appears on both the Democratic and the Republican ballots. For this election, and she'll be available if you have questions, she'll be available to answer any questions that you may have. Betty's one of those unsung heroes. You don't hear from Betty Gillis. But the elections go smoothly, nobody, notices. And we just continue on. But Betty's responsible for the conduct of the elections. And she does a fabulous job for our county. And so I'm glad you recognized her with the hearty applause because she's well deserved. For this election, voters will declare their preference to vote either in the Democratic or Republican primary election. This election is not tied to the selection you made in the presidential preference primary. In other words, you may have voted in the Democratic presidential preference election, and now you can select to vote in the Republican election, or vice versa. If there is a runoff in any of these elections, you will only be allowed to vote in the runoff in your initial choice. So you can't switch between Republican and Democrat when the runoffs come around. Early voting starts this coming Monday and will continue until May 20th. Saturday voting will be available on May 14th, and early voting will take place in the office at the corner of Tebow and Isabella Streets. And there's also a flyer out in the front lobby that talks about all the early voting dates, times, and other information about voting. The questions tonight that we'll be submitting to the candidates were distilled from questions submitted by the public. The Chamber and Keystone Voters League wish to thank the public for submitting these questions, and also for the depth and quality of the questions. We had a wide range of topics that were covered in the questions. We're getting ready to begin for the sheriff's race, and Sheriff Randy Royal has elected not to participate tonight, so you see that we only have the two candidates, and his two opponents are on stage. And we'll begin now, and we'll start with Mr. Wade Bennett for him to make his opening statement. Wade?
My name is Wade Bennett. I've been a lifelong resident, born and raised in Ware County. I have worked in law enforcement 17 successful years. The last 3.5 years of that, I've been the chief deputy in Rankin County. I have a wife of 28 years and 2 grown boys, or at least they call themselves grown. I would call them babies for the rest of their lives. But one is 22. His name is Corey Bennett, and Jordan Bennett is 19 years old. I attend church at Kettle Creek, which is right down the road down here. And I'd like to first of all say thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, to be able to tell you a little bit about myself and to answer any questions that may come up. look forward to being able to answer the questions more so than just having answered. I would really have enjoyed the opportunity for all three candidates to be here tonight, but one has chosen not to participate. That's all I can tell you about me right now. I'll be more than happy to tell you more if you have questions, but off the top of my head, that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Ponsell.
Good afternoon. My name is Jody Ponsell. I'm county sheriff of Ware County. For those that don't know me or anything about me, I'm the son of the late Chester Lorraine Ponsell. She was stripped. My father worked at the railroad. My mother worked at Wacoma. I grew up in Jamestown and graduated from Ware County High School in 1981. Immediately after graduation, I went to the U.S. Navy. I came out of the Navy in 1984. Immediately went to work in law enforcement. First job was a police officer with the Waycross Police Department. I then served the Georgia State Patrol, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, United States Federal Air Marshal Service, Fayetteville, Georgia Police Department, and the Ware County Sheriff's Office. Also during that career, I spent 16 months in Iraq as a police advisor to the Iraqi national government. I'm the owner of Professional Investigative Resources Private Detective Agency. I'm a member of the VFW and the NRA. I attend First Christian Church in Waycross. During my career, I've had the opportunity to work in many different positions in the local, state, federal, and international law enforcement community. I believe this unique opportunity, coupled with the extensive training I've received, has prepared me to carry out the duties of sheriff with strong moral leadership that the employees deserve, and the honesty, honor, and integrity that the office and the citizens demand. My wife is Laurie. She's a special education teacher at Ware County High School, and I have two sons, Drew and Luke. Drew is a student here at Coastal Pines, and Luke is in the Ware County Middle School. As a career lawman, husband, and father, I understand the many challenges and obstacles our children and young people face today, and I promise I'll never trade our children's safety for political expedience. Thank you.
All right, for the first question, and we'll start with Mr. Bennett. The Sheriff's Office has a budget in excess of $2.5 million. What experiences in your career have prepared you to be Sheriff of Ware County and manage that budget?
Well, like I said earlier, I've been the chief deputy for the last 3.5 years in Bradley County, and a large part of that is assisting the sheriff with managing the budget. With each year, we've come in below our station expenditures. We have not went above our means, and as running the budget, I've managed the budget of my personal household for the last 28 years that I've been married. The budget that, well, not to say anything about what's going on now, I think to put a chain on a lot of the spending and the overtime is where I'm going to go to start with, to kind of limit the amount of overtime that's being used for court security and shift coverage from the shortages at the sheriff's office. So that would be my qualifications. I mean, to answer any further than that.
Let me just get you to elaborate a little bit in your experience. How involved have you been with the budget preparation process for you?
Well, when the budget preparation comes up in Bradley County, and the sheriff sits down and goes over every one of the accounts that we have to manage and it's hard to do it. You never know what's going to come up, but you try to have some leeway and in a lot of the areas where money is being spent, such as overtime and maintenance on the vehicles and repairs out of the jail that come up that you don't foresee in the moment that you're making preparations to prepare for the year. But once we sat down and go over all that's required of us to manage and maintain, then we come up with an amount to put on that and keep up that amount and keep within that margin of its, that what's going out to make sure that we don't go over.
Thank you. Mr. Ponzell, you need me to repeat the question, or you got it?
No, sir, I think I do. As far as my experience and educational background, in order to manage the budget of the Ware County Sheriff's Office, I would put the 35 years of experience I've had in the military and law enforcement to good work. The budget of the Ware County Sheriff's Office needs improvement. There are a lot of ways that this budget could be reduced. We're spending a lot of money on some items that we don't need and a lot of items that we do need at this juncture. We're not spending the money on. Sheriff Roll reduced when he took office. He abolished the position of chief deputy, and he also abolished the position that he held as a major. And those were administrative roles. I think you will understand that those positions, they did a lot to help keep the budget in line. And because those positions are gone, if I'm elected sheriff of Ware County, those are two positions that I will bring back. I will have a chief deputy, and I will have a major position. As far as budgeting, I would sit down with the county commissioners, and I'd also sit down with the citizens and find out what we actually need in this county, rather than just buying stuff like we're doing right now.
The next question actually relates and ties right into it, and it would go to you, Mr. Ponzell, but I'll allow you if you want to elaborate any more. But the next question is, what are your ideas about reducing expenses or improving efficiency of the sheriff's office? You've made several already, but I didn't know if you had some additional ones you'd like to make.
Well, the first thing I want to say is that as far as improving, I think our focus on drug enforcement could use a lot of improvement. If I'm elected sheriff of Ware County, one of the very first things that I will do is I will go back and I will create a gang task force with officers of the Waycross Police Department, the Ware County Sheriff's Office, and any other agencies of law enforcement wish to participate. We don't have that. Chief Tony Tanner very recently stated publicly in the Waycross Journal-Herald that we have known gang members from Jacksonville in Ware County. We had a drive-by shooting the other day in which some children could have been victims of that shooting. They were there when the shooting took place. So those are some things that I would actually ask the citizens to let's spend money on. Sheriff Floyd has had 8 years to prepare for that, and he has not done so. So if I can get people's attention and make them aware of what's going on, that's something I want to do. So that is an issue that I would spend a lot of money on. Beefing up our enforcement activity to be prepared for the gang problem. But those of us in law enforcement know that it's been here. We also realize that it's getting a lot worse. So that's something that I would do.
All right. Back to you. Mr. Bennett, do you have any other ideas or what are your ideas about reducing expenses or improving efficiency in the sheriff's office?
Well, like Mr. Ponzell said, one of the crucial things that I see that needs to be done here in this county and city is our drug task force. There was a mutual drug task force between Ware County and Waycross City that was disbanded in 2008. I'd like to see them reunite and put together a task force as well as invite agencies around the judicial circuit of Waycross. I think, not only think I have seen it in action, when you reduce the amount of drug activity, the amount of drug trafficking and sales in an area, all of the crimes will come down as well, and they follow suit. So if you can get a hand on the drug problem, if you get a hand on so much more than just the drug problem. Number two is there's a lot of rework done that's costly to the taxpayers, and I think a lot of that is based on lack of training and knowledge of the officers that's out working. So an agency is only as good as its best trained deputy, best trained officers. So to up the training in the agency and give them the training that's needed so they can get out and serve the public and the community much better and much more efficient. That would be my first goal is as sheriff to come in and straighten up the training process and the drug task force.
All right. This one will go to you, Mr. Bennett, again. As a constitutional officer, the sheriff has a great deal of control of who works in the sheriff's office. If elected, what are your plans for changes to the current staff of the sheriff's office?
My plans with the current staff is they're good people. Every one of them working, they're good people. I would say some of them lack the quality of training that they need. So my consensus on it is everyone that's employed there will still be employed there. I'm not going to change any faces. I will probably move some around to better benefit the community with the training that's given. But I have no intentions to get rid of any employee, any current employee with the sheriff's office.
Okay. All right, to you, Mr. Poncell, same question.
First and foremost, I'm not going to fire anyone if I'm elected sheriff of Ware County that's currently employed with Ware County Sheriff's Office. However, something that I fully intend to do if elected is I'm going to enter into a negotiation with the Ware County Commissioners to find out about placing the deputies under a merit system. So let me explain to you why that's so important. This is 2016. We're voting on an election that takes place in 2017. There's some of us sitting out here that our whole careers have been in law enforcement. Mr. Dixon's one of them. I'm one of them. Mr. Bennett's one of them. If I missed somebody, I apologize. We are professionals. We do this job. We are held to a very high standard, and the state of Georgia requires us to have certain qualifications in order to be a law enforcement officer. Mr. Barnard, I forgot you. I apologize. My point is, I want to say this. To work for the pleasure of the sheriff where you have to worry each and every day that you get on and you pin that star about whether you're going to do something that's going to cost you your job in 2016 is wrong. A deputy sheriff doesn't need to be loyal to me. He needs to be loyal to the Constitution of the United States of America, the rule of law, and the citizens of Ware County. Those are the only people he needs to be loyal to. He needs to be able to go do his job each and every day without that fear. If I'm elected sheriff, I will make sure that those deputies are placed under some type of merit system. So if there is an issue or a complaint from a citizen or any other issue involving their conduct, that it can be heard fairly and honestly, and they can be given a fair hearing, and whatever comes from that hearing will be above board and will be open to all the public.
All right. We'll continue with you, Mr. Poncell. What strategies or plans do you have in mind that would make citizens safer than they are right now?
I think when you look around Ware County and you see how it's changing, it's very obvious that the safety should be of utmost concern to the citizens. I look out here and I realize these are a lot of people that I know and I'm friends with. I want to increase our drug interdiction program. I want to go after the money. We have too many people getting arrested that are your lowest level drug dealers, and they're also your addicts. And don't get me wrong, I spent my whole career enforcing the law. If they're breaking the law, they need to go to jail. But we have people who are getting filthy rich in this county that are 2 and 3 steps removed from the drug trade that are profiting off of it. And those are the people that we need to be going at. And this, if I'm elected sheriff, I will use the techniques that I've learned as a special agent with the GTI. I will use the friendships and I will use the contacts that I have with the federal government to bring some folks in here and let's clean up this county, because we have a drug problem. We don't like to talk about it, and nobody really wants to mention it until it's one of their children gets arrested, and then it's the first thing on their mind. But you have a lot of people here that are making a lot of money off of drugs. They're not the guys you're going to catch with a nickel bag of marijuana or a couple ounces of crack cocaine and methamphetamine in the car. These are the people that stay home and profit from it. And until we get serious about this and we're willing to make that change, nothing's going to change in this county.
All right. Same question to you.
Well, to increase and make the community safer, I'm once again behind Mr. Poncell. I feel like a lot of this is the drug problem and the lack of education and programs to educate the violators that are out here that we're catching one after another and locking them up for a period of time, and they stay in jail without any kind of education or any kind of reform. In 2008, the current violent crime rate in Ware County, in this judicial circuit, Waycross Ware County area was 29.47% higher than, or I'm sorry, lower than the national average. In 6 years, it went from 29.47 lower to 7.23% higher than the national average. So that by itself screams that we have a major problem. What we've been doing for the last 3.5 years and have seen a good progress on it, good return rate on it, is once we get violators in jail, and everyone knows that they don't start out as violent criminals, they start off with small misdemeanor type stuff and it moves up. Is we get them in jail, and that's where they want to find religion. They want to find a way out of that lifestyle. We let them know that it's not who they are that put them where they're at, it's the choices that they made, and we start educating them on how to make better choices. And we offer them education in choices, we offer them education in religion. And in doing so, I've seen a return rate, or our return offenders, the ones that you let out and they just keep coming back to jail, I've seen that drop less in somewhere in the neighborhood of 60% in Rankin County. And if it's a program that works well there, there's no reason why it can't work across the nation.
Just a quick follow-up for both of you. Are both of you supporters of the drug court program?
I am.
Okay, all right. This will be our last question because we're running short on time. But I thought the news is full of reports of tension between law enforcement and the communities they serve. How do you rate the relationship between law enforcement and our community? And what steps would you do to improve that relationship? And we'll start with you, Mr. Ponte.
I think the community in Ware County and Waycross is very respectful of law enforcement. It's been my take on it from my interactions with the citizens that they are, for the most part, law enforcement is well followed, and it's also well supported. So I think that we have a good community relationship. But I think that has to do more with the community, the people in Ware County that choose to obey the law and support law enforcement than any one individual. The other thing that I would simply say about that is I think that you can increase community awareness more with the children and more with the young people. There needs to be a few more programs and a few more opportunities for law enforcement to actually spend time with them and do things with them rather than just be simply seen as an authority figure. So that's my thoughts on it.
Mr. Bennett?
First and foremost is to hold ourselves as law enforcement at a higher standard to gain the public trust and hold ourselves accountable for all of our actions. We put together a few programs in the last 3 years where we take children shopping for Christmas that wouldn't have a Christmas otherwise, and it's done by donations. We get a wonderful return out of that. I mean, the response from the community is just overwhelming. The first year that we done it, we had to hunt deputies and law enforcement officers participate, and every year after that, we've had to turn some away to make them work the street while we took the youngins shopping. I mean, we enjoyed it. I mean, it was just something that everybody would have to take part in once or twice in their life. But the big thing is to show them that we're not out here to lock mamas and daddies up, and brothers and sisters up. We're up here to make the community safer, and if we can educate the community to see that's what we're here for. I think that the relationships between law enforcement and the general community can grow strong once again. But like Mr. Ponsell said earlier, in Ware County, I see that we have a good relationship with the community, and the community has a good relationship with law enforcement for the most part. The ones that you that you see, or the ones that I see, that, you know, that want to have some friction between the two entities is the one that's out committing the crimes, more so than the law-abiding citizens. So, for the law-abiding citizens, I think we get along great.
All right. Thank you. We'll now go for a 1-minute closing statement, and we'll start with Mr. Ponsell for your 1-minute closing statement.
First, I'd like to thank the Keystone Voters League and the Ware County Chamber of Commerce for providing this very important service to the citizens of Ware County. By providing a place and time where incumbents and candidates can be openly questioned by the public, we're participating in one of the fundamental acts of democracy, the belief that individuals seeking public office are accountable, and the citizens have the right to question them publicly for their actions or inactions. I would also like to thank Mr. Bennett for attending. This election is not about Wade Bennett, Randy Roll, or Jody Ponsell. This election is about the future of our children. With your help and support, I'll do everything in my power to protect them from drug dealers and gangs and make Ware County a safer place to live. Please vote for me on May the 24th. Thank you.
And Mr. Bennett, your closing statement.
I would also like to say thank you for the opportunity to Keystone, as well as the Waycross Chamber of Commerce and the people that's here tonight. As a candidate for sheriff, if elected, I would also like to let you all know that I will be committed to serving the community through a delivering of the professional law enforcement service in an unbiased and compassionate manner. I would also like to have the community involved in the law enforcement aspect, because law enforcement by itself will never be able to stop the crime, will never be able to stop the drugs. It's going to take participation of the community and making it available where they can give information to an agency without putting themselves or their information in it where they can stay neutral and out of it. But I would love to have the opportunity to do that, and with your vote as sheriff to elect me as sheriff, I would appreciate it. I would also appreciate your vote, but once again, I'd just like to say thank you for being here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Let's have a round of applause. Mr. Ponsell, can you give us just a second, and we'll swap out the panels, and we'll put for the county commissioners. We'll take the stage, please.